Hey, how's it going, guys? Ricky Summer here. This week's Music Monday is going to be a little bit of a channel update, a little bit of a album update. Let's jump into it. What the shit is this hair, dude? It's collapsing under the weight of its own magnificence. Alright, so you're looking at the master session for my upcoming EP, Lascivious Moon, which you've probably heard about if you've been following along with these videos. It's a slow process. It is mixing, mastering. It's a slow process, and not because the doing of it takes a long time. It's because you need to take breaks. You listen to it one day, you come back to it tomorrow and it sounds horrible, right? Or you pick up things that you missed yesterday. Often in the pursuit to get something done by a deadline, or you're just so excited that you want to get it out, you miss things, you do. So you need to take time, and that's what I'm trying to do. Luckily, I've got plenty of time because for once in my life, I got someone who needs me. For once in my life, I'm actually ahead of schedule. Usually, the way things work out with me is I have a bunch of tracks. I go, yo, this is an EP now, or this is a single that I want to release by this specific date. Like Love Punk was super appropriate for a Valentine's Day release. I can't remember if I got it out by Valentine's Day, but that was the plan. And it's always like, it's always an afterthought when I'm going to release it, and it's always way too soon. Or, you know, in the early days, I would get way super overexcited and be like, I want this out now. And you don't give it the love and attention and the time that it needs to go from, hey, this is a really good idea, to this is a banging product, you know? For the first time, I've got, like, I'm done, right? The mastering is almost done. The album art is done, which I'm going to show you in a second. I'm pretty pleased with it. And I've got, like, 120 days left until release. So I want to release this around the release of Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, you know, for obvious marketing reasons, sure. But also because I want you guys to have something to listen to while you're cruising down the streets of Night City. I just think that would be a nice little package, a nice little thing to tie together. So about 120 days or so away. I got a little bit less time than that because it takes insert a certain amount of time here to get the tracks up on Spotify. It varies. Sometimes it's a month and sometimes it's a week. I don't know. I guess it depends how busy they are. Anyway, so let's talk about album art. I'm going to pull up my album art right now. What do you know about that? If you follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, there'll be links to those in the description below. You've probably seen this already, but this is my album cover for Lascivious Moon, and for the first time, I'm actually super pleased with it. Like I said, usually the way I work is everything is a rush. Like I focus on the music, which you should do, by the way, and then by the time it's done, I got no time to get like album art done, music videos are a whole other thing. They're difficult to deal with anyway, just because I've got no budget, no production team, no nothing, you know? But yeah, it's all a rush towards the end. I don't think my album covers are bad, but I'm usually not 100% satisfied with them. This time, you know what? We're getting pretty close. So I'm going to be 100% transparent with you here. I scoured the internet trying to figure out how to do this effect in Photoshop. I've actually been looking for like at least a year, like the best way to do the 80s mirror effect, the 80s mirror text. And I'm actually going to bring up an example here of my very first attempt at it, if I can find it. Here we go. This was my very first attempt at doing 80s mirror text. And you know what? It's not bad, but this process is long and tedious and it's imperfect. So what this particular process entails is, let's have a look at the M here, for example. Okay, so see how there's this sort of shade specifically on like this beveled edge here? You have to do that manually, and you have to do that manually for every single side. So that involves literally tracing the beveled edge by hand and then putting a gradient in manually. So firstly, that's tedious. Secondly, you gotta do the curved edges too. It's friggin' insane, dude. I mean, the effect is pretty okay. But it's so time consuming. And I'm happy to spend that time on an album cover, of course, because it's special. It's like a one-time thing. Yes, I'm happy to do that. But if I also want to do this effect on thumbnails, I'm not spending like an hour and a half to 2 hours on every thumbnail. Sometimes I do anyway, and it's horrible. But I'm not going to do that for every goddamn thumbnail if I'm uploading every day. Can you imagine? Ridiculous. Anyway, so I just happened to stumble upon a template pack with a bunch of examples, a bunch of templates for just this type of effects. I'm like, dude, let's go, let's do it. What's hilarious is now that I have this template pack, I can see everyone else who uses it. We're talking other synthwave producers, synthwave promoters, anything retro inspired, podcasts, even video games, even like Steam games. You know how there's this kind of spate of time trial racer pseudo beat games where you're driving like DeLoreans in a synthwave highway or something. They all use, well, a lot of them use this template pack. You can tell, you can see the elements from it, especially because a lot of them don't actually change really much of anything. They change the text and that's it. And I'm not here to shame anyone. I'm certainly not going to name anyone. I just thought it was funny. So I'm actually going to bring up the example of what this looked like before I got my hands on it. All right, here we go. This is an example of the template effect before I fiddled around with it. Indie Ground 80s effects. I'll put a link to it in the description if you guys are interested. So now we're going to minimize that and you can compare it to mine here. So obviously, you know, the text for Moon is the same. I've changed the color, but the mirror effect is the same. Why? Because honestly, the way to get this effect is intense. We're talking like some of these effects are like 64 layers deep just for the text, just for Moon, right? It's insane. I'm picking apart actually how it's physically done in Photoshop. It involves like embedding a text layer within another layer that then references a folder with a bunch of like layer style effects. I don't fully understand it, but I'm treating it as a learning experience. It's a good opportunity for me to not only get the visual result I want, but also teach myself how to create it completely from scratch in the future, because I like to be self-sufficient. That's kind of my thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing, sometimes it's a good thing, but I don't like to rely on on other people and other people's work. So this is why it's taken me so long to do something like this, to seek out templates or help of any kind. But here we are, and you know, I'm pleased with the result. So I've removed the grid. Obviously, I've input my own concrete texture, and I mess with the perspective so it looks like you're like right on the ground looking along the ground there. Remove the city, I put in the pyramid. So I initially thought, yo, it's Lascivious Moon, so I'll put in this moon. But a little while ago, I watched a stream, Rockley Smile, if you know the guy on Twitch. I watched him play Control, and that game is fascinating. I love the concept of it. I love the visual style, and I think there's a big, scary, like red or maybe black, I think it's red, upside down pyramid in that game. And I'm not going to spoil what the significance of it is, but I was just captivated by that idea. So I created a little something that I'm going to pull up here in a second. There we go. I made this just for fun. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it, but I was so captivated by the idea of this big, scary, ambiguous upside down red pyramid that I had to create this. Lucky I did, because then I was able to just drag that into my album cover here, and it kind of really works, huh? I sort of, you know, it's a little bit of a twist on the 80s upside down triangles everywhere, you know, because it's a pyramid rather than a triangle. But the way I think about it is this is the Lascivious Moon. It's like a space station or something up in the night sky of Bay City. There is no moon, but there is this thing. Like the moon's been replaced by whatever this is, and it's the Lascivious Moon. I suppose the obvious route to take would be it's like a big casino, pleasure station, brothel sort of thing, but like that's been done, right? I mean, that was in Altered Carbon and God knows what else it's been in. So, you know, I'll toy around with some ideas. I'll play around with some story ideas to figure out exactly what it is. Maybe it's Alien, but then we're kind of treading on the toes of that film Oblivion, you know, with the Tet space station. I'll figure it out. In any case, just for the moment, I think it's really, It's really cool, haunting imagery. I'm pleased with it. I'm pretty pleased. Okay, so off the back of this, you may have noticed that a lot of the thumbnails on the channel have changed. So let's bring up the channel. As you can see, there's the next X4 video, which you should have seen by the time this video comes out, because I'm recording this on Friday to go up Monday. So here we go. Thumbnails changed. If you've been following the X4 series and you're like maybe confused, yo, wait, what's going on? They look different now. Don't freak out. Still the same series. We're still continuing on from where we were. As you can see, episode 25, 26, 27. Same series, same type of video. I just changed the thumbnails because I looked at my channel. After doing my album art, I looked at my channel and I got sad. Like, I made the videos, I made the thumbnails, and I myself couldn't tell at a glance between one series and the other. It was just way too ambiguous. Everything was purple, which I freaking love my purple, make no mistake, but everything looked the same. So I wanted to distinguish between specific series, you know, while also having some pretty dank thumbnails. The way I see it, with thumbnails, it needs to be eye-catching. Straight off the bat, obviously, because it has to draw people in. And I'd like to think that that's what I've done here. I mean, you know, for people who like that sort of art, it's drawing me in, I tell you what. So it has to draw people in. It has to be clear, right, and distinctive. And you have to be able to go, yep, that's that series, yep, that's that series. And lastly, which I think is the hardest point to hit, the branding has to be consistent so that you look at it and you go, yep, that's Ricky Summer, right? That's the struggle right there. Making it different enough so that at a glance you can see what is what, but similar enough that you go, yep, they all belong to the one channel, you know? So that's what I'm trying to hit here. And hopefully with this like general like 80s album cover vibe, we're starting to hit that. You'll notice that we've got a new series, well, a return of an old series. If you've been with the channel since the Roleplay Gamer days, you'll remember this is not a review. So why is it not a review? Because it's a first impression series. It's just my branding, my own version of like WTF is, or let's try, or let's look at, you know, every YouTuber and his dog has a let's try or let's look at. And I don't want to use the same language. I don't want to be like everyone else. I want something unique, some fun little branding just for me. So I've already got this in a review, so I'm bringing it back. So it's just a first impression series. It's not blind though. I don't want to be one of these guys that just like sits down and goes, I've never played this before. And then we have a look at the game. I want to have a little bit of experience with the game. So of course, depending on the scope of it, could be like an hour of play before we make the video, or it could be like 5 or 6 hours. It depends what's in the game, how deep it is. So I want to be able to show you some gameplay and also talk about some things that you might not be seeing on screen, but that are in the game, things that I have experienced, and give you my opinion on them. So this is a great opportunity to have a look at a lot of early access games that might show promise, but maybe not fully there yet, or just like weird games that I want to try, but wouldn't work on the channel normally, or games that would fit the channel that don't really fit into the schedule. Like maybe I got too many series going at one time, and you know, we just can't fit anything else in. So there you go. That's what that's going to be about. I'm excited to have a look at some more games. We've got something weird coming up next, I think, if the schedule permits. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So that should be, for the moment, next couple weeks is going to be Wednesdays, but we might move it to a Friday. We'll just see how we go. It's been, you know, for a week without a lot of music. It's been a big week of music related things. We're burning to the end of that album release. Oh honey, about 120 days to go. I'm ready. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to gently caress that like button, taste the game, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you next time. Ricky Summer out.